One of the things that I get a lot in our comments when we talk about interest rates rising is that mortgage rates are still historically low. And guys, one of the things that I want to kind of point out your attention is in our Tuesday night podcast, we talked about foreclosures. And we talked about the programs that the federal government still has in place. We're going to go over those again right now. But what I want to remind people that are commenting about, hey, look, mortgage rates are still low. A lot of the people that are facing foreclosures right now had lower mortgage rates than what we're seeing right now.
There's a lot going on. The mortgage moratorium ended at the end of July in 2021, and data that we have talked about on our Tuesday night podcast now shows that the mortgages going back to Q1 of 2022 are definitely on the rise.
And as I had mentioned, the mortgage rates are also rising, but they're still historically low. If you think back, in the last 50, 60 years, mortgage rates are still pretty good. The problem is that the home prices have gone through the roof. So as we're going through, the next couple minutes, we want to talk about, if you're looking to buy a home, keep in mind that affordability is the primary concern. It's not a matter of, how quickly you can buy a home, whether or not there's enough inventory for you, whether you find the house that you fall in love with, but really, can you afford? Is now the right time with everything going on? Is now the right time to actually buy a home? And if the answer is yes, that would mean that you have enough for your down payment and that the principal and interest is somewhere around 25 or 30% of your salary that you make on a monthly basis. And then also, do you have any money left over in the bank after you buy your house for emergency funds and to make repairs and things like that? So a lot of what's going on with foreclosures is the number one reason that people get foreclosed on is that they lose their job. They fall into a financial crisis, usually by losing their job, that they are unable to make their mortgage payments for 3 consecutive months. And then on the 4th month, the federal law allows for the lender to start foreclosing on the property. Now, since the pandemic, we have been printing money, like crazy rates, right? We've been printing money. We are in debt. The federal government, is saying that they need to raise interest rates to slow down inflation because we have been pumping so much money with stimulus money, PPP money that businesses, this basically free money that the government has been giving, companies through the pandemic, to keep their doors open, keep employing people. The amount of federal unemployment subsidy that was given to, people that were on unemployment. And, now we're kind of hearing two mixed messages that I think anyway, from whether our economy is in good shape or not. So, the Fed came out and said, hey, the economy's strong. Consumers are buying. Inflation's off the chart. Not because we've given everybody a lot of money and stimulus money to spend, but because our economy's strong. People are making money in the stock market. They're doing things that they're just more financially better off than they were in history. Part of my confusion includes this American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. Now, this bill was actually signed into law by our president on March 11th, 21, and it passed with narrow margins, with one Democrat voting against it with the Republicans, with all Republicans. It passed 220 votes to 211. But basically, out of this rescue plan, they came out with the Homeowners Assistance Fund with a budget of $9.961 billion to be distributed to all 50 states for families that are still struggling with COVID-19 related issues. And this money is not only to help pay their mortgages if they're in default, but also other housing related expenses.
And there are certain criteria that you have to meet. Establishing that you have already made contact with your mortgage provider is one of them. But what's happening here is that we've already had the stimulus money, and now we are given the option of having this fund to assist It just is a snowball effect here. We really need to get on the other side because the foreclosure rate is just going to keep on going up.
Yeah, and again, I'm just kind of curious, the Fed comes out and says what great shape we're in if we needed almost $10 billion for additional COVID relief for our homeowners and housing related issues. I'm kind of wondering why the Fed didn't mention that. I dropped this link in the show notes. We talked about it a little more in depth in our Tuesday night podcast this past week. But this map kind of shows this program. It's interactive. You can click on your state. If I click, we're in Maryland. If I click on Maryland here, basically it gives me a link where I can check my availability. It's a 5-question survey that basically, if I answer yes to everything, I'm qualified to apply.
There are a lot of states that are showing high foreclosure rates, and we feel a lot of people that are being foreclosed on are small landlords.
And that's right, Melissa. Landlords, from what I understand, are not eligible for this housing assistance fund. And it's kind of crazy because, I think that the landlords were hit the most, at least the small landlords. We're not talking about Wall Street landlords here, guys. We're talking about mom and pop shops that have been providing good affordable housing to people that need rentals, that can't afford to buy. And they were really held at bay with not being able to collect rents, not being able to evict people. We saw that a lot of people, not everyone, but certainly, take advantage of the money, not passing it through to their landlord. So that the landlord was not able to pay their mortgage, and then they're being foreclosed on. So, it's easy to say, that we don't want to have compassion for those small businesses, those small landlords, but guys, they are a big part of our housing ecosystem.
In hindsight's 2020, but it would have been beneficial if the government had some guidelines that when the stimulus money came, that any renter was required, and it was mandatory, to pay your rent to the landlord.
So guys, if you're considering to buy a home right now, we don't want you falling into, in a couple years into the position of being foreclosed on. So it's really important. And one of the things that I've been preaching, if you've listened to any of my videos or if you've had me help you look for a home to help you buy a house, I'm really big on making sure that, you have emergency fund in place, that if things were to happen, things were to break, that you can pay for that. If you are laid off or you do lose your job, you certainly want to be able to pay your bills for the next couple, 3-4 months at least. You don't want to use every penny that you have in buying a house. Everybody wants to focus on, am I overpaying right now? Should I wait? Are interest rates going to continue to rise? And being stressed out about that, I've got to buy now because I heard that they could go into double digits. Like the 1980s when we had 18% interest rates. Let's stop that for a minute. Let's not worry about, the price of the house. Let's not worry about the mortgage rate. Let's worry about whether you should be buying right now at all. Let's start worrying about how much money you have above and beyond any down payment in the bank. Because if you're putting the minimum amount down and you have then a couple thousand left over in your savings account, you probably should save some more money before you try and buy a house. Again, this isn't a popular conversation amongst you buyers that are really wanting to buy a house. And the other thing, guys, and I hear it a lot. I see your comments. I hear, but my rent is going up. My rent payment, they want another $300 a month more for where I'm staying. And, I feel like I'm throwing that money away. When you look at $300 more, it's $3,600 a year. Okay. When you're looking at needing $20,000 or $25,000 in cash to put down on a house, and then you're thinking about taking over those bills and repairing the roof or the faulty HVAC system, you start considering that the adjustment in rent price still probably will allow you to save money, not stress out, enjoy a little bit more quality of life while you're preparing for what's next in the market.
Excellent points. You want to be set up for success. And as Todd said, yes, it's shocking if you had a rent monthly payment go up $300. Absolutely. But you need to think about the big picture.
And here's a little challenge for you. If you're watching this video right now and you know someone that is interested in buying a house and they're stressed out about it, you could do them a favor by sharing this video.
As always, thank you so much for tuning in, and your comments and questions, keep them coming.
If you like the video, you can let Melissa and I know that you do by hitting that thumbs up And we always appreciate when you smash that subscribe button and hit that alert bell. It lets you know every single time we upload important videos like this one.
See you next time.
See you next time.
Sachs Realty, Maryland broker number 607720, office number 443-318-4514, equal housing opportunity.